एनक्लोज था पोएट्री, जो कि दूसरे कान में पढ़ने से वो डिस्टोर्ट हो गई वो आवाज़। यस यू एक्सपीरियंस ना, तो वो तो स्पेक्टेकल है आपके अंदर जो बन गया उसको, हाँ उसी समय हो रहा है, पर उसको फिर स्पेक्टेकुलर बनाना है किसी और के लिए, तो आपने हो गया स्वाद आ गया आपको। ये तो उसी समय हो रहा है, हाँ ये कैसे हो, ये इसमें है।
Can I just say something? ये जो नंदकिशोर जी बोल रहे हैं, अविनाश इसको सप्लीमेंट किया, एक्चुअली जो फॉर्म है या शब्द है, इसकी एक किस्म की जो अर्थ परंपरा है वो स्मृति में है। इस अर्थ परंपरा के आलोकित होते से ही कुछ ऐसी स्मृतियां जो अंधेरे में थी अभी हमारे अंदर, वो रोशनी में आ गई, और वो इतनी तेजी से रोशनी में आई है कि हम पता कर पाते कि हमारे भीतर थी, इससे पहले वो प्रकट हो गया। मतलब यू हैव एक्चुअली उनको एक्सप्रेस कर दिया आपने, उसमें नए डिस्क्लोजर में आप ले आए। इसलिए लगता ये है कि वो स्मृति, बट एक्चुअली वो स्मृति आपके अंदर ही थी। At which number one, number two,
therefore, Ananda 1.6 that a great poet is one who is able to review the work of all its available meanings and can put a new meaning.
Yes.
And which means that most great writers, actually what they are doing is they are able to identify those available meanings of those words because they were in certain sequences. वो एक क्रम में थे, उस क्रम के कारण उसमें
हाँ, तो एक्चुअली जो प्रोसेस है इमेजिनेशन का, उस पर भी मैंने बात नहीं की है, तो वो कई प्रकार से होता है हम लोगों के सबके अंदर। ये खा लिया, हो गया, ठीक हो गया, ठीक हो गया। कई बार जो दवाई है ज़्यादा वो सिर्फ उसी का असर होता है और किसी का नहीं, उसको दबाना पड़ता है। तो उसका संस्कृतिकरण, उसका संस्कारीकरण किया जाता है। ये फिर ये संस्कारीकरण फिर उसमें चल जाता है स्मृति में। संस्कृति का जो पिंड है वो स्मृति है। तो उससे आगे इच्छा शक्ति होने से वो विषय प्रस्तुत होता है, और उस विषय का संस्कारीकरण, संस्कृतिकरण, और उसका उस विषय को शुद्धि का जो कार्य है वो इमेजिनेशन कहते हैं उसको। अब इस शुद्धि में अनेक स्फोट होते हैं। स्फोट मतलब अक्षर उत्पत्ति, अनेक उनमें क्या क्या होता है वो सब मतलब समझा सोचा होता है, ये जो स्पोर्ट होते हैं इसके अंदर। उसके बाद में जितना ये बना कल्पना, इसमें संकल्प योग क्या है, कल्पना चल रही है आपके, संकल्प योग भी वही है जो जैसे कविता बन गई, एक पंक्ति बन गई आप, ये ही संकल्प योग है। इसको संकल्प का अर्थ है कि क्रियावत और चेष्टा में डालना, जो भी आपकी कल्पना है उसको चेष्टा में डालना। तो ये बुद्धि से संकल्प होता है, कल्पना के उपरांत बुद्धि रहती है, उस बुद्धि से कोई हम संकल्प कहते हैं, उस संकल्प से चेष्टा इत्यादि होती है, जिससे कि शब्द इत्यादि बाहर आते हैं इन चेष्टा से। ये तो मोटी प्रक्रिया है, और इन प्रक्रियाओं में दो काम हो रहे हैं, इच्छा शक्ति से कुछ हो रहा है, ज्ञान शक्ति से कुछ हो रहा है, फिर क्रिया शक्ति हो रही है। और ये ज्ञान शक्ति से जो हो रहा है वो उसके अंदर बहुत सारे स्फोट हैं, अक्षरों के अनेक स्फोट होते हैं। उन तो हम लोग जितने उन स्फोटों में कुछ अंश स्मृति का रहता है, कुछ अंश काल्पनिक रहता है, कुछ अंश ऐतिहासिक रहता है, कुछ अंश काल्पनिक रहता है। दर्शकों को दो भागों में डिवाइड किया है। तो ये पूरी प्रक्रिया को मेरे विचार से मैप किया जा सकता है, उनके टाइप्स को, और ये पल पल हो रहे हैं। जैसे कि एक वर्कआउट कर रहे हैं आप, जैसे गा रहे हैं, तो हजारों हजार स्फोट हुए आप कहेंगे, जब आप गा रहे हैं उस वक्त हो रहे हैं वो स्फोट, और तभी उसमें कई सारे कंट्रोल्स हैं, कई सारी चीज़ें हैं जो कि तोड़नी मोड़नी पड़ती हैं आपको, और जिसमें कि दिशाएं निधान करके जो गा रहे हैं तो उसमें कितने डिसीजन तो स्वर्ग में लोग हैं, परलोक में, उनको एक ही दुख है कि भाई आर्ट नहीं कर सकते। जितने देवता लोग हैं, आर्ट, क्योंकि वो मटेरियल नहीं है उनके पास, उनके पास बॉडी नहीं है, शरीर नहीं है, क्रिया होगा नहीं, ऐसे ही बैठे खाली। तो वेटिंग फॉर सम पर्सन एंडोर्ड विद बॉडी टू कम एंड इमीडिएट to come and get inspired by them. So these are spirits hovering in our heads, hoping that some bodies will lend themselves to them. So, but before bodies can lend themselves, there are two ways in which bodies can lend themselves. One is to imagine the type of sankalp which is required for them to give a meaning, for these ordinary people to give meaning, which is like a plan of a play or movie. ऐसे ऐसे होना, ऐसा संकल्प होना है, फिर ऐसा संकल्प होना है, फिर ऐसा संकल्प होना है, तो पूरा मूवी का डिजाइन करते हैं। उसका in between, there can be special insights and special sankalps in between. You get good ideas by directing something or eating something. तो वो ये बहुत सारे संकल्प हो रहे हैं। ये this is a plan which is in drama. It is a very planned thing. Music is much more spontaneous, but it has so much of practice behind it for that spontaneity to be permissible in that enclosure of song. So everything has a component of imagination in which resource is only smriti, sanskar load is the only resource which is there. And then there are judgments. Judgments are fresh. Judgment is a entirely novel, new, can be new, and through judgments we make the imagination beautiful, apt, and then there is a judgment about action. This prayatna is there. This judgment about action, all the ratna goes into, gets sucked into action. Action is all sarg, akshar sarg, or the sports happen in their own way in action. Because action is learned through skills and it's also part of sanskar. And through them we are able to render proper. So there are two formations. One, where human body is an enclosure. In music, there is also instrumental music, but primarily vocal music. And dance, body is there, and drama, actors, bodies are there. Here body can be more generalized to robotic actors or to instruments, etc. And other ones are these, which are synchronic, painting, sculpting and architecture. There is several different have written that recognizably in the painting you have iconic structures. Icons are bundles of meanings. So there are icons, some highlights are there in that. So, but these icons are all in service of certain events in a painting. In every painting, interior there are events. And whereas in music, for instance, there are events. This swara, then that swara, there are events. And through these events, it's possible to construct iconic structures. I believe very strongly that there can be imagist music. There would be in future imagist music in which drama is created musically. And so that should be possible. And so these are eventual forms of art whose enclosure is enclosure of events, whereas here there is enclosure which is enclosure of icons. But this enclosure of icon discloses events. The enclosure of events discloses. So both are together in some sense. Each of them will have their own grammars. Grammars. A painting would have grammars of strokes. Put some strokes to begin with, actions performed in each of them. Music will have its own grammar, a play would have its own grammar, because the nature of enclosure would mean something has to be enacted there, enabled there, and this enabling and enacting has a grammar of its own. And these are some kind of rule-based kind of sports. Action sports are there. Akshars are of those two kinds, and where sports are there, which gives the ground. And rest is sort of the spectacular aspect of a work of art when somebody witnesses it. And that's a great spectacle to witness art, and it's in an immersive situation. When immersive means you have forgotten your sanskars. Sanskars are suspended temporarily. In a movie when you're watching, that's the fastest way of enclosure in modern times is to watch movie. It takes seconds to get lucid. Totally, whereas some other things take time to get. Music takes time to get enclosed. But these enclosures not only have certain grammar in them, they also have certain ontology, certain semantics in them. and certain apology of that. So the verse contains, usually these are non-linear bodies, as I said, and others are the grammars are spatial in painting, architecture, etc. Whereas grammars, they are temporal. Even grammar is there, the temporal grammar. And now the disclosure space is very interesting. Disclosure space because all kind of formations take place in the disclosure. When we are hearing music, the kind of twists and whirls which our mind goes through, those are the disclosure spaces. And we are looking at painting, the type of contouring which our mind goes through, those are disclosure spaces. The topology of that disclosure spaces can also be studied for each art. For each art, there are different topology of, not only there is grammar of each enclosure, but there is also the realm of meaning which is disclosed. That also has a contouring of its own, which can be thought of. There are many concepts, like in, say, in musicology, music. So, there are many concepts in Sangeet Shastra which would adequately sort of analyze the disclosure space in music. Only when you have disclosure space in music that one can have a theory of music. And so all the concepts which go in understanding this disclosure space in music. And so there is all kind of unfolding, unfolding, carving, merging, etc. So a good example for seeing the disclosure space and time, both ways, because there is in painting there is disclosure time also, like in there is a disclosure space in music. They're very similar, they're very sort of metrical. These at least the 6 forms. The way music is related to painting is the way dance is related to sculpture, is the way drama is related to architecture. There are many internal structures in these things, and they all form a very fascinating way. But we can also look at space-time much more closely. The grammar is dealing with space-time, which is in the immediate carving of that potential space of meaning. And the potential space of meaning can also have its own logic, etc. And this logic is what governs when we do performance or when we do painting. And but this logic, as well as the enclosure, all of them are in space and time. So the way space and time is characterized, spatial and temporal features are characterized in the grammar and in disclosure. That study is actually true study of art. The way space-time and body are placed. For instance, in a painting, there is a blank canvas. Totally blank canvas is there. On this blank canvas, if one puts a line to begin with. Now, this line is what? This line is on a material surface. This is a blackboard. There is a line there, or a black canvas, this line. That line is a material surface with pigments, say black line, with black pigments. In the the disclosure space, that is in the enclosure. Enclosure we stroke the line. In a disclosure space, that line actually is only an edge of a plane. It's only an edge of a plane. By putting another stroke, I can unfurl what is there behind it. The line is hiding the entire plane. It's only the edge of a plane. So if I put another stroke, what I do is inside of this hidden thing, I am bringing out, disclosing. So by various strokes, the grammar of strokes, I am able to disclose all kind of reality, imaginary reality, in which temporal elements play. That's the ontology of painting. Ontology of painting is about that. Similarly, the ontology of film, ontology of music, ontology of because the type of entities, relations, and episodes which occur in them, each of the disclosures. So, depending on the type of enclosure, the disclosure space is constrained. In fact, the human imagination has much larger cardinality than any discipline of art. The imagination is more fecundous, much more, even contours are much more sophisticated than can be found in the disclosure space of any of arts, taken individually or even taken collectively. So arts is always unfinished, that it's hungry. Arts are always hungry because there is imagination which is in excess of the work of art, always. Whatever work of art are there is in excess imagination is happening. So there is a tendency to do the work of art. And we can go into now difference between various art forms. In fact, if we look at enclosure, disclosure way art forms, a whole lot of new insights will come right here. Sitting here, a whole lot of confirmations from one's whole life will come right sitting here when you look at each of these forms. And suppose we look at painting, you see how is it different from sculpting. Yeah, but that structure was first witnessed in imagination.
That is the point. Therefore, this, in order to disclose that hidden structure of the space, we have to have learning for the artist, first learnings that you will need, and then things are required exposure to reveal. So, are there two different?
Yeah, so interesting. They're interesting, they're two different ontologically. Something happening, imagination is happening in self, and this disclosure is happening in a canvas. They're two different, but there are points of contact between two, which is what we are doing. When the artist is saying, deciding to stroke this way, something is happening inside head, and stroke this way, and then there is some other stroke one makes, because something is there in the head to get that disclosure. So what is there in the head is being sought to be ingrained by stroking. So there are points of contact between these two. There are spots which are points of contact, are precisely points of error. Something happens in head and you want to show some corner, some aspects, or turn the unfoldment of a painting space into some direction because of imagination. And there is a prayatna there, micro prayatna, which leads to that stroke. Because of skill is used for that. Then some other stroking. Then some other strokes of color, that's also a stroke. So various stroking. So there is dialectics of imagination, action, and sort of that enclosure, which is going through there. It's a strong dialectics. And I think it's absolutely exact dialectics which goes into this. And so one of the lesson here is that art is happening only in a communicative context. In no other context, art is happening. So in the communicative context, that there is independence of the artificial enclosures. These are artificial because they have artifices in them. These enclosures. Natural enclosures are mine, and since they enclose artifices of various kinds, iconic artifices or eventual artifices, they enclose. And they are, in their creation there is a dynamics in imagination. In their even appreciation, there is a dynamics. Why some people see something in painting, others don't, etc. What is the immersive condition, and how does pixels create all the meanings of cinema? All these are millions of sport happens about cinema in doing this online. It's happening right now. So if you're listening right now, responding, millions of sports are happening. It's all of this formal ontology is online. One reason difference between ontology and logic is that logic is offline, and whereas ontology is online. And
sir, when you said art happens only in communicative context, this communication is with other or oneself also?
No, communication, there's a desire, ichha shakti, to show what I am imagining to others. That is the birth of communication. So I tell something, I have to tell something to other, I have to speak this, I have to, maybe I should go spend time with that person. These are ichha shaktis, which leads to motion of body, etc. These are general human actions happen like that. Art is a specific form of human action which looks for artificial enclosures. And these artificial enclosures are very difficult to imagine, because if you take a wall, I paint something here, where is the enclosure? The wall is same wall, made of same asbestos, same atoms, same molecules. Where is that? If I paint something here, where is that enclosure? So that enclosure is as ethereal as our mind, enclosure of our mind. People may ask, where is the enclosure of your mind? Where all this fantasy is going, all these sensibilities are going, and we don't know where it is. We only know if you get up and go, this enclosure will go with you. It won't be left there. It piggybags on your body, that enclosure. And this enclosure is not there in that body. These things you know about mental enclosure. But in a sort of, if I paint something on the surface here, where is the enclosure? I am saying there is a material enclosure there. But where is it? People say, okay, this is surface or the boundary of the painting, that rectangle is the enclosure. But that's only way of saying that rectangle is enclosure. But there is a disclosure space in it. There is a space between the horizon and you. A painting is as fat, each painting is as fat as the horizon and you. It's that size, each painting. Those are the curvatures that painting is. Those are 2D, enclosure is 2D. But it creates that entire space. Painting is as thick as the horizon there and the disclosure space and you. And this has been created by just pigment deposition on 2D surface. And this, when you say pigment deposition on 2D surface, is there a material way of finding out which is disclosure, which is enclosure? Where is the boundary of enclosure? So, but it is definite that there is an imaginary space, reality, in the painting area, and non-painted area there is no imaginary reality, or there is some different imaginary reality. That is absolutely clear. So disclosure is there, but disclosure has a condition of an enclosure. And this condition is verified because you have different forms of art, having different enclosures. A dance, your whole body is enclosure. You dance out. I mean, you have to disappear from there. As a dancer, you have to just disappear when your body is there and lend it to character, lend it to somebody else. And so that enclosure are there. These enclosures are there, but they are phenomenally there and they are not identifiable. You can guess it computationally that okay, painting starts from here to there, so that, but you can't give a material limits to the enclosure.
आपने भी कहा कि आर्ट के लिए कम्युनिकेशन जरूरी है. Whose communication is this? Of artist's mind, what he wants to convey, what he has known, he has experienced and now wants to convey, or even in the process of creation he has known something and wants to convey. Is it that which is to be conveyed or communicated, or is there something else also in the Kriti itself, which is not the intention of the artist, or which he has not experienced, but it is communicated. And these days it is said that there are meanings more than, there is no definiteness of meaning.
Yeah. Well, people say there is sort of hand of God in every piece of art. And I mean, it's just way of saying that there is some ethereal kind of forces which a kripa is there, whatever, that content can be there. But here, the focus I want to be there is on that this imagination must find materiality. No, that is not okay, because that is giving altogether different nature of art and different idea on what is communication. In communication is to bubble, enclosure bubbles, to create enclosure bubbles. Like with sounds, we create enclosure bubbles of phonemes. These enclosure bubbles of phonemes are what they go and they get heard, and the communication takes place.
They are received, they have some other meaning.
No, they don't have another meaning.
They have.
No. No, that meaning is what is intended is a small aspect of art. When we say there's a kripa of some kind, is that there's a handiwork which is non-intentional, explicitly intentional. A work of art is actually collaborative piece of art between spectator and the creator, because there is a spectator in creation, because without witnessing one can't even create art. The spectator is there. So a difference between spectator and creator is always there. So it is most exemplified that when you say something, somebody else understands something else. It's most exemplified there. But a good art is that where this bridge is, the gap is sort of less, which means that the most potent aspect of the gap are part of the art itself.
But I am talking of the great arts, not the general. Take for example the Mona Lisa. In how many ways it has been received and interpreted. Take for example the character of Hamlet in Shakespeare. In how many ways it has been received and interpreted. At the other end, we don't know what was the meaning of Shakespeare or.
We know.
No, maybe we don't know. But the receiver who reads it,
something different, and everybody has got something different. So where is the meaning? Is it in the artist's mind or is it in the kriti itself? Is it really different?
The meaning is in the kriti. Is anukriti. Meaning is enclosed in anukriti. We don't know one's pet rendering of one person's pet rendering of that meaning, another person's pet rendering of meaning may not be identical. There is no need for it to be identical. But there is enough gravity in that meaning. Gravity in that meaning which gives it entity. So, but there can be many forces of smriti which will lead you to different, so that there is no fundamental interpretative freedom.
That's why it's the meaning itself has some meaning.
Yes. It's a work of art which has meaning. Whatever the artist may say, मैं तो ये नहीं चाहता था, ऐसा था, वैसा था, doesn't matter. This is it.
That's why I said the importance.
So, artist, after the work of art is done, is as good as spectator, only little privileged because of knowledge of how it came through, that work of art. Otherwise, is as good as a spectator. The moment artist is finished painting, you become spectator.
In our spectator is artist.
Yes. In fact, in one of the second condition of art, which I didn't elaborate, that a condition that how to make others witness my imagination. It is this condition which is behind two different things. One is art, and another, surprisingly, is a birth of society. Even society, like social relations and social objects, are born because of this condition. The social objects are born in actors, not actors, primary actors, not the dummy actors. Dummy in the sense that they don't play themselves, they play somebody else's character, which is actual actors. But agency. When you have to have discourse to other agency directly, then the social objects come up. When the enclosures are direct immaterial or material entities, then art comes up. Art is fundamentally to do with dead things. Dead. All the material enclosures are dead things. Even the body of a dancer is a dead thing. Why dead? Because the agency is completely independent of sanskar. That the agency has been lended completely to a character. That person is not there when you are acting. So by dead thing I mean that the agency is agency of an artist is very godly. It's godlike, the agency of artist. That the personality, the person does not matter. So, and it is the medium is that which is open to public, which is public means which is graspable from sense organ, via sense organ. So, and 6 sense organs you grasp. This is also origin of a public space, the shared world which we have. In the shared world, society is a shared world. This object, that of their friend, this, that, these are shared world. Whereas art is fundamentally some material formation, disclosing imagination. It's a class of things, it's not everything. Not every action is an artistic action. There are other actions which go on. But artistic action in the end of Kratiyug is born at the end of Kratiyug. In Kratiyug, when the Krati is happening, there is no need of art. Anukrati. So it's in the beginning of Treta Anukrati begins and Natya Shastra is created. The beginning of Treta. And Itihas is created. And Anukrati happens. So realm of Anukrati is there. Right now, there is no material formation in this room. No material formation which does not have human signature in it. In fact, it's very difficult. Can one find a material formation in which is not enwrapped some human signature? So if you take an object, this object, it has so many stories wrapped into it. It's sort of plastic, it's this, it's that, it's culture, that culture, all kind of things can be said about it. People can give hours of discourse on this bottle because all this information is wrapped onto it. It's all, this object has so much of stories enwrapped into it. It is in that sense a work of art of some kind. But as you're saying, intentions are feeble. Many stories with this about this are not intended by the manufacturers of this. They are like intended by the critics of this, etc. So, but an intentional act, art is intentional, a very intentional act. There is an axis of intention in it to create disclosure things. Otherwise, there is no object. We can't think of any material formation. I mean, whoever can think of such a material formation, I'll give some award to that person, in which there is no human signature. No, at least a word. We carry a word. Whatever you have to describe, you have to, human signature come the moment it is perceived. Since everything in nature is perceivable, human signature will immediately come. Some wrapping will do, some painters will wrap it.
So you mean some formation of the mixed mountain? that are used.
Not just your witnessing has all kind of wrappings and covers and phantoms which domesticate it, which make it familiar to you, which make it familiar, which can relate to the rest of your smriti.
Natural beauty and created
Huh?
natural beauty and created beauty.
Yeah, that can be still distinguished. Natural beauty is godly beauty, a godly beauty, whereas created beauty is this person's, that person's beauty.
So I was twisting this, that human agency. Maybe there's an agency, there's an agency. But there is an human agency.
Yeah, but in Natya Shastra, there is an imagination of agency, human agency, being stripped of all sanskars and purely at the seat of judgment. The spectator is at the top of the world because spectator is sitting at the seat of judgment. So, at the moment somebody is asked to judge something, there is an allegation of us. Devata comes. So, spectator has agency, which is judgmental agency. Purely, this is deciding things. No, judgment is is judgment about stuff on memory, but judgment is an autonomous act. It's a different act, and this judgment leads to prayer, effort. Otherwise, imagination will never cross into. Yes, spectator, when you are immersed watching a film, it doesn't matter what you are, Raja, Rank or whatever, BJP or communist or whatever. It doesn't matter. You are minimal, man. You have agency, judgmental agency, and all the perceptive organs went on, and that's it. You're good now. Your responsibilities, everything is sitting totally equal. That condition, to be sitting at totally equal, immersive condition, is a fundamental condition for judgment. A judgment is only possible if, in the case, you are completely immersed. Otherwise, judgment is not possible. So, that immersion is a condition of a ethereal or very porous agency. And to install porous agency was a purpose of Natya Shastra. In Treta Yuga, there will be this agency which would off and on come and reflect, so that rest of the world in imitation happens well. So Natya or Manch is created so that reflectivity can get back. With Satyug, in Kriti Yuga, reflectivity was suffering because people have craving for sukh and shunning of dukh. That came in. So a Natya is created so that people can be purely reflective. And thus, in day-to-day working, there is good governance. So that was a governance idiom of Ramayana and of Treta Yuga. That this is what governance is. It's another matter that by the end of Treta Yuga, there was a fault found. I mean, Pratyug had a fault, and the answer is Natya, arts. Then Treta also had a fault, and that fault was even if because another fact we should get, that inside of this is what can be called as auspicious, pious and norms. The difference between krati, one is okay, I'll do whatever I'll do would be good and beautiful. That's what the scene was in krati. Whoever did whatever was by default good, beautiful, truthful. In Treta Yuga, whatever I do may not be good, may not be beautiful, and may not be true. But I have an occasion once in a while to go and reflect on what is good, what is beautiful, what is true. This is a theatre. I reflect on this, and this reflection informs me. But then, what is the content which is going into that? What is getting disclosed? Only Parlok is getting disclosed. The content of disclosure is only Parlok. Content from Parlok, only that is disclosed in all the enclosures. So if the content is Parlok, and in the Parlok, what types of contents go? So among them in Parlok are contents of karma are there. So karmsharis or skandhas which are there in Parlok, these are personas, this, that, whatever people did and the consequences those things had, they are there in Parlok. So these are these form make content of all the disclosures. And among these contents is that whenever there is disputation, and this disputation is always, whenever it's resolved, the disputation, that constructs entity called Maryada. Whenever something is disclosed, that disclosure creates entity called Maryada. Dispute is resolved. Any dispute is resolved in past. It creates entity called Maryada. With the chance that it will get in future also such disputes will be resolved by this. So this Treta is a yuga of Maryada, and a fault is found in the end of Treta, and that fault is because of Icha. Icha doesn't have a governance of a kind which Maryada can give, and which is like Love Kush are able to find fault with Treta. They had a small case, but they could stop that Ashwamedh horse because they could find fault with the entire yuga. So that became Dwapar. But so the Natya is actually Treta. Whatever is possible happening there. So all forms of enclosures. In fact, this Krati, Treta, Dwapar can be seen as astrologically, but they are right here in us at this moment. These are like 4 layers of very much related to Parapashakti Madhyavati. Wherever 4 things are drawn, same similes can come. And so there is that immediately after Satya is Kala, and then on top of it is our various experiments we do, or and the bakery, etc. So I think I've stopped the time. So close it. We'll pick up details of each next time. No, that is, we are coming, leaving the realm of art and getting into a realm of polity. That dropper would be polity. I thought next summer's institute will do on polity. Next summer institute on polity. Something. This will remain just Treta. Concentrate on Treta. Huh? Kali Yuga is you embodied. You are Kali Yuga.
दोनों का ले लिया कैमरा का इसका।
तो आज शाम को मैं एक बार देख लूँगा। हाँ
ठीक है सर।
अच्छा देखो देवांश एकदम देवांश का दर्जा इंटरनेट इज वर्किंग देयर बुक द टिकट्स ओपन वीपीएन इंस्टॉल कर लेना, फिर उसके बाद मैं कर
पेन ड्राइव मतलब ले लियो